Hello everybody, welcome to my first video of 2022. I mean, great. My first video of 2023. I was going to say my last video of 2022, but that's a lie because it's not 2022 anymore. When you're watching this, and even when I'm filming this, it's not 2022 anymore. I was going to film this video and upload it at the end of 2022, but I ended up going on an impromptu hiking trip with some friends and we got stuck on the other side of a river, so it took longer than I thought it would for us to get back to civilization. But I'm back and now here I am filming this video a couple of days later than I thought I would. But here it is nonetheless. So as you can tell by the title, this is my 2022 wrap-up and my 2023 TBR. And my 2023 planning, all wrapped into one video. All in all, in 2022, I read an entirety of 15 books. My challenge that I set for myself was 20 books. And in 2021, I read 12 books. And in 2022, I read 15 books. So I am reading more every year so far. I didn't read 20 books, I only read 15. I did start another book, the 16th book, in 2022, but I didn't read very far. I only got this far, just the end of the first or second chapter in When We Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. Some stats for you. As I said, I read 15 books already in 2022. The shortest book, apparently, that I read, according to Goodreads, is The Snow Goose by Paul Gallico, which is actually 2 books in one. It's The Snow Goose and A Small Miracle is the other short story. It was 80 pages long. And the longest book I read was Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. My favorite book of the year, by far. I actually have 2 favorites, but one of them is fiction and the other one's non-fiction. So my favorite fiction book of the year was Bewilderment by Richard Powers. It was a really interesting story, a really kind of different story than anything I've ever read before. It's not a unproblematic story. Like, there were a few things that bothered me about the story, but it's really stuck with me since I've read it. So I really enjoyed that. And then my favorite non-fiction book of the year that I read was Brain on Fire by Susanah Cahalan, which is her memoir of her journey trying to get diagnosed when she had some, I don't want to call it a mental illness because it wasn't actually. She had an actual brain problem, like a medical brain problem, not a psychological brain problem, if you understand what I mean. So yes, but it's her memoir, and it was by far my favorite nonfiction I read this year. My least favorite book of the year was Carrie Fisher's memoir. Not because I didn't enjoy it, I just, looking back, I don't actually know why I read it, because I have never seen a Star Wars movie. I don't really care about the Star Wars franchise. I don't know anything else that Carrie Fisher has been in other than Star Wars, so I don't really know why I read it. It was just there, so I picked it up and I read it. All in all, I'm pretty happy with my reading in 2022. I really enjoyed the books that I read, except for Carrie Fisher's book. I did not enjoy it, it's just I don't understand why I read it. But all in all, I really enjoyed the things that I read, so I'm happy with that, and I'm bummed that I didn't read as many books as I set out to read, but it's okay. I read a lot of books anyway. And the most important thing is not how many books you read, actually. It's, do you like the books that you read? Are you enjoying reading? That is the most important thing. The most important thing is not reading like 100 books a year. It would be nice, but I also feel like if I read 100 books a year, I wouldn't remember half of the books that I read. So I would rather read less books and then actually remember the stuff that I'm reading and enjoy it while I'm reading it, and not just try and speed through it for the sake of reading a lot of books. I'm just going to show you my TBR for January, basically, not my 2023 TBR. I will talk about this again when I show you my planning, but my goal for the year is to read 36 books, so 3 books a month, basically, is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to read 3 books a month, and by the end of the year, if I read 3 books a month, I will have read 36 books. I keep setting myself these really big goals, and then I end up only reading 15 books in a year, but that's fine. It's fun to have a goal to work towards, even if you don't achieve it. So, for January, I'm going to continue reading When Women Were Dragons. Sorry, I was going to say The Women Who Run with Wolves, but that's not this book. That's a different book. I have that book, but it's not this one. So I'm going to continue this. I'm enjoying it so far. I have my doubts about the story, to be honest. But, you know, I'm only on the first chapter, so I'm not going to pass judgment before I've even really read a lot in it. So, for now, I'm enjoying this and reading it. Then I have also still basically just the leftovers from my December TBR of 2022. The London Scene by Virginia Woolf, which is her essays on London life in the 1920s and 30s, I think, which she wrote for a newspaper, and then they are now collected in here in a nice book form for us to read 100 years later. And then the next book I have on my list is I, Mona Lisa by Natasha Solomons. This was also on my December TBR of last year, but I'm very excited about this book, so I'm going to try and read the other books quickly so that I can read this one, because I'm really intrigued by the story. I'm also not showing you them in the order that I'm going to read them. And then the last book I have on my TBR is Far From the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. The friend that I went on this hike with actually also just recently bought herself a copy. I don't say also, I didn't just recently buy this is my dad's copy. But she recently bought herself a copy of this book, and I saw it on her bookshelf, and she said she just started reading it. She's only read a few pages. So we decided that we would do a sort of book club read of it together for January as a kind of buddy read thing. So we're going to read this book together, and then we will probably confer about it at the end of the month and share our thoughts and just be like, did you actually finish this book? You know? So I've got quite a few books ahead of me, but I think I will be able to get through them fairly quickly, because the one that I'm reading right now, When Women Were Dragons, is not hard to read, so I think I could fly through this pretty quickly, and then I will get on with the other books. I can even read 2 books at the same time, which is what I usually do, and then I sort of forget about one of them and continue with the other one on for months and months and months, and forget about the other one, and then pick it up again once I finished the book that I was reading. But anyway, so this is my January TBR. Welcome to my reading journal. I have decided to go for a sort of dark academia, green academia kind of theme this year for my reading journal. I don't really know why, it just came to me, so I decided that I would go for it, and I sort of have gone with this old English typeface. So on this cover page of mine, I'm just sort of making a Dutch door. If you don't know what a Dutch door is, don't worry, I didn't either until I watched other reading journal videos, and I saw this one woman making a Dutch door for her reading journal, and so I thought it looked very cute, so I thought I would try it myself. And she used stickers to make hers, but I'm going to draw the things that are going on the front of my Dutch door, because I don't have stickers of bookish things or even dark academia things to put on my reading journal. For my kind of decorative drawings here at the Dutch door portion of my reading journal, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, probably not, the outlines are too faint. I've done a rose, which doesn't look great, but it's there nonetheless, and then I've done a skull and a butterfly, because, you know, dark academia makes you think of skulls, and then I was going for green academia as well, a little bit, with more like the nature type things. just going to cut out the edge over here to make it a Dutch door. It makes sort of a half page, if you can see here. Next page we have is my reading goals and my reading tracker. I already mentioned this earlier in the video, but I want to read through 36 books in the year. I actually want to read 3 books a month. That's my real goal, but it will equate to 36 books throughout the whole year. My second goal is to read books that I already own, so that I don't just keep buying more books, even though I do like buying books, but I want to read the books that I already own and not just keep buying new books and reading the new books before I finish reading all the books that I actually already have on my bookshelf. And then the last goal I have is to read more poetry. Underneath my reading goals, I've just made a space for my reading tracker, and I've divided it into 12 blocks so that there's 12 months, and each block has 3 spaces for the 3 books in every month that I want to read. This is basically the spread that I'm going to be using to track my reading. I don't do a lot in my reading journal. I find that if I do too much, I don't really end up using it. So I'm just going to leave space here for if I want to make notes on any books that I'm reading. I don't usually make a lot of notes on the books that I read, because I usually underline in the books and make notes in the books that I'm reading. But if I'm borrowing a book from a person, then I don't want to write in their book, and then I will make notes on that here. But yes, this is my finalized reading journal. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe also if you want to see more videos like this or other bookish content that I make throughout the year. I will see you again very soon with another video, and other than that, I hope you have a great start of your year. Happy New Year, happy 2023. I hope 2023 is a great year for you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, wherever you are. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.